Hey y'all, so let's pick up where we left off yesterday. I'm still going to go back and forth digging into this Romans chapter 5 because there's so much in there. But we were born because of the fall of man, or as this scripture, as Paul puts it in this scripture, the trespass was the lapse or the offense. Also, in verse 18, he says, one man's false step and falling away. Of course, it's referring to in Genesis where Adam chose to eat the fruit. And so, of course, that was an act of disobedience, submitting himself and his authority, and Eve as well, to the authority of Satan rather than God. And, this is perfect for what we're talking about this week, but the voice we listen to and who we follow is proven in the choices that we make. And again, we're gonna hear that as a recurring theme throughout this week. But if we are followers of God, we're actually going to follow him. We are going to do what he tells us to do. We're going to not do what he tells us to not do if we are followers. And so in the garden, when Adam and Eve chose to eat that fruit, when they chose to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they chose to listen to the voice of Satan. They disregarded the voice of the Father. And so they became followers of, slaves to Satan. Now, so we were born with a sinful nature after Adam. But of course, on this side of the cross, we have a choice. We can choose to remain handcuffed and bound to sin and to our flesh, or we can choose to receive freedom in the love of God. Just as the scripture we read from Romans says, Jesus' work far surpasses Adam's trespass. It's so far beyond Adam's actions, like we said yesterday, that the two cannot even be compared. That the grace of God extended through Jesus is out of all proportion to the fall of man. So, I have 4 boys. We have 9, 6, 2, and 1. And it's greater than this example, but this is the most, this is a natural example that I can understand. And it would be totally unfair to set my 9-year-old up in competition with my 1-year-old. Okay, and my 9-year-old has a photographic memory. So he's a visual learner and an audio learner. If he hears it once, he's never going to forget it. Like, he just retains information like a sponge. So to put him up against, of course, and physically, my 1-year-old is standing and pulling up. He's thinking about walking, but he's not walking yet. So, and in every way possible, the amount of food they could eat, doing anything on your own. 1-year-old's not talking yet, so if I ask him any questions, he's certainly not going to answer. So setting the two of them up in competition, or to weigh their skills and abilities out in comparison to each other, obviously the 9-year-old is going to blow the 1-year-old out of the water. And that is a very simple, physical example of this spiritual truth, in that the fall of man, the trespass of man, cannot even be compared to the grace and the goodness that God has made available for us. There's no competition. There's no comparison. The two, it's so far out of proportion. It's you would laugh if I was saying we were going to have a competition between the 9-year-old and the 1-year-old. And that's what it's like when we compare the trespass and the fall of man to the grace and goodness God has bestowed towards us. It's laughable to think that the trespass could be more than the work of Jesus Christ. And that's where the enemy comes in with shame and condemnation, and he keeps before you how all the things that you've done wrong, everything you've ever done, why you'll never be enough, why God could never love you, why that could never be washed away, why he'll really never forget that. But all the while, the reverse is actually true, and that if there's no question, there's no competition. God, through his work of Jesus Christ, has blown your enemy completely out of the water. And every time the enemy, the accuser of the brethren, brings that stuff up to you and tries to beat you over the head with shame and condemnation, laugh. Just laugh. Because what he is trying to get you to believe is so far unproportionate. They're not even comparable. Just remind him of that next time he comes to you with the shame and the condemnation. Satan, I can't even. This is so far beyond truth. It's just not true. We'll pick up for tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye.